think we can all agree that 2023 has been a roller coaster year for all elite wrestling. We've had some moments like the continuation of MJF as AEW World Champion, his summer bromance with Adam Cole. We had the big 72 to 80,000 fans in London, England, and Wembley Stadium for AEW All In. So pretty up moments for the company, but we had some down moments. Obviously, we had the CM Punk firing from AEW, the whole little altercation with Jungle Boy Jack Perry. So some good stuff for the companies, not so good stuff. That's why I say, looking back at AEW, I would describe it overall this year as a roller coaster year. But for the most part, AEW, one thing hasn't changed. They've been putting out a handful of matches. We're talking from pay-per-views, dynamites, collisions. You got some matches taking crazy on Rampage. So just a blistotic of matches. But there's only 10 matches I can really list here, or at least in my opinion, these are the 10 best AEW matches of 2023. Now, before I get into this video, I just want to make this disclaimer to everybody watching this video. This is my list. I put this list together, and these 10 matches, these are, again, my opinion and my opinion only. There's probably going to be a few matches on this list that you probably don't agree with that shouldn't be in the top 10 or shouldn't be on this list at all. So if you don't necessarily agree, or if you think there was other matches I'd include in this list that should be on this list, well, you can put it in the comment section below. But I don't want to waste any time. We're going to get straight into it, man. First things first, coming in at number 10, we got El Hilo Del Vaquino versus Kenny Omega. This took place on the March 22nd edition of AEW Dynamite. This match was built up as a dream match. Tony Khan, the announcers, the AEW crowd, everybody was calling this match a dream match. This was the first time that this Vaquino dude and Kenny Omega went at it. And this match was crazy. I mean, this was the first time I had seen this Valkyno dude, and so he's pulling off all these flips. He did this one move out the corner into a reverse Frankenstein. I was just like, what in the world? You could definitely look at this match as probably one of Kenny Omega's best matches, singles matches, and that's saying a lot. I don't think Kenny necessarily did a lot of singles matches this past year, and obviously, with how his injury came out recently, which hopefully he gets better. But yeah, this was a fun little match, considering the timing they got, and definitely I feel like this deserved to be on, at number 10. Coming in at number 9, I got Bryan Danielson versus Roosh. This took place on the August 2nd edition of AEW Dynamite. Yeah, this was a fun little match, man. I think this was the match that I know for me personally really made me go like, Roosh is insane, man. Like this dude is, um, he's definitely one of the good ones. He's definitely one of the good ones. We all know how good Bryan Danielson is. I think you can definitely put Bryan Danielson in the category, or at least I would put him in the category as one of the best wrestlers, probably, this year, obviously, because he had a lot of really good matches in AEW this past year. But yeah, this was a fun little match for Dynamite. I thought this was really good, all around good stuff across the board, and definitely one of those Dynamite matches that if you haven't seen, you got to check out. But also one of those matches that if you have seen, you definitely want to go back and see it again and not get tired of it. Okay, so coming in at number 8, we got Ricky Starks versus Bryan Danielson. This was their strap match at the AEW All Out 2023. This was pretty much Danielson's return match. He was out, with the injury that he had at Forbidden Door and stuff. And he came back and took on Ricky Starks, who was incredible in this match as well. Hard hitting, physically demanding match. And it's one of those matches where it's like, granted, Ricky Starks didn't win the match, but he still got over. Ricky Starks is definitely one of the most promising superstars in this industry today. And definitely this was a match where, granted, he lost, but he still benefited from it. And, Danielson, looked good. It's like even after the injuries and stuff, like it didn't stop him. And as we're seeing in this Continental Classic, it's still not stopping him. The dude's coming out wrestling with one eye and just a bruised up shoulder and just all around just beaten up. All right, but getting back on pace here, coming in at number 7, we got Adam Page, Hangman Adam Page versus John Moxley. This was the Texas Death Match. This took place at the AEW Revolution 2023 pay per view. Yeah, this was, like I said, physical, demanding, freaking just all across the board. This John Moxley and Hangman feud was just crazy, man. I know, like, you had um, their first match, and then you had their second match. So this was, the trilogy. Uh, I mean, John Moxley tapping out. This was the first time that we had seen John Moxley, I believe, tapping out in AEW. So that was a pretty crazy moment. And of course, the ending of how he tapped out was crazy as well. There was blood, there was guts, it was chaotic. And that's, again, it's my well put on number 7 on this list. Okay, so coming in at number 7, coming in number 6, excuse me, we got the Elite versus Death Triangle. This was the best of 7 series, but this was or at least in my words, game 7 of the AEW World Trios titles. This was their little ladder match they had. This took place on the January 11th edition of AEW Dynamite. And, you know, craziness all around the board. Looking back at it, this match was like 14 minutes, but dude, they went insane in this match. Like, it was like, I know the match may have seemed a little spot festy in many people's eyes, which is, completely understandable. But like, you had ladders, you had, tables, you just had just craziness. Like, you couldn't turn an eye and there wasn't nothing crazy going on. Like, that's how crazy this match was. And again, you could tell they were really going all out in this one because of the fact that it was game 7 and the Elite coming back, winning the trios titles. It was definitely a, big moment, if you're a fan of not just the Elite individually, but collectively as a whole. So, my opinion, coming in at number 6. But all right, so coming in at number 5, we got Adam Cole versus MJF. This took place on the Dynamite of June 14th. This was the title eliminator for Adam Cole. I believe so. It was, yeah. And I feel like this match surprisingly doesn't get a lot of praise. I feel like this match is highly underrated. You talk about a lot of the matches that took place this year in AEW. I feel like the fact that this match hasn't really got talked about a lot was insane. These guys went to a 30-minute time limit, and it was just 30 minutes of just goodness. I mean, Adam Cole, I think this is one of his best matches in AEW. I still think, as a matter of fact, and I might get hated on, for saying this, but I actually thought that this match was slightly better than the match that they had at Wembley Stadium. And that's saying a lot because, you had 70, 80,000 fans in Wembley, but this was just crazy moment. The ending was really cool. I liked how they, played it back, obviously, it all in, Cole saying, give me 5 more minutes, and Max at the time was like, no. And of course, this pretty much kickstarted their little bromance of the summer that took over. Everybody loving Adam Cole and MJF better than you, baby. So, I mean, people were loving the bromance storyline so much. People were saying it was the best storyline in wrestling, at the time. But yeah, this was a fun match. Like, I know it wasn't one of his title defenses, but this was, I think, one of Max's favorite, I think one of his best matches of his title reign. And again, just the fact that it doesn't really get talked about a lot, I just felt like it deserved to be at the number 5 list. Coming in, okay, so coming in at number 4, and this is, I'm telling you, man, these next 4 picks, they were hard, man. I'm not gonna lie to you, they were really hard to pick out, but I was able to make it work. Coming in at number 4, we got FTR versus Jay White and Juice Robinson. 2 out of 3 falls match on the July 15th edition of AEW Collision. That was one of the things I forgot to mention in the intro, actually, that we had the debut of AEW Collision take place this year. But yeah, dude, this was the best tag match of AEW, like the best AEW tag match of this year alone. So definitely deserving of being in the top 10, let alone top five, actually, top four, even. And again, I don't even really think this is opinion because, you hear from everyone who talks about this match. Everyone says it that this is the best AEW tag match of the year. 2 out of 3 falls over an hour. Like, man, just all around amazing stuff and just the definition of what tag team wrestling is all about. Who? So coming in number 3, you want to talk about, hey, a lot of you are probably going to crap on me for not putting this in number 1, but Hangman Page versus Swerve Strickland at AEW Full Gear, their Texas Death Match. People are calling this match the greatest death match in the history of extreme matches. Obviously, AEW's history, of course. People are saying it's one of the greatest AEW matches of all time. Hangman Swerve killed each other. And, I thought that they couldn't go as crazy as Hangman and Moxley, but they did. They freaking did, man. I mean, dude, I don't even need to go through what happened in this match because if you've seen it, you've seen it. If you haven't seen it, if you're not a fan of extreme wrestling, this ain't, it's obviously not going to be your taste. But if you are a fan of extreme wrestling, ECW, maybe even, CZW or something like that, and this will definitely be your cup of tea. These two dudes were killing each other. And the crazy thing about it is that we didn't even get a Hangman entrance. Hangman just went out there and just started beating the shit out of this dude, okay? Cinder blocks, staple guns, tables, I think we said barbed wire. I think we had thumbtacks. Prince Nana coming into, like, this match was insane. And that was the only nitpick, though, I had about the match. Like, Brian Cage, he didn't have to interfere. Like, I feel like that was the only thing I will take away from the match. He did not need to get involved. Brian Cage did not have to get his big steroid freak in the match. Like, I get you won. I get why they had to do it because, you're trying to help your boy out. But I just, but outside of that, one of the best AEW matches, definitely, well deserving to be on this list. This is definitely going to be on everyone's list. If it doesn't make anyone's list, it's going to be quite, again, probably because that person's probably not a fan of extreme wrestling or they just wasn't a fan of how they did this match in particular. I know a lot of people like this match, but then, you had other people that wasn't, too liking of this match and they gave their reasons. All right, so coming in number 2, we got Kenny Omega versus Will Ospreay. This is for the IWGP United States Championship at Forbidden Door. Man, their match at Wrestle Kingdom was insane, man. Like, I watched it 2, 3 o'clock a.m. in the morning and just was like, wow, man, these guys are going at it. And when they got announced for Forbidden Door, I was like, how are they going to top it? They got to top it. And some people say they did. Others said, nah, their Wrestle Kingdom match was slightly better. I'm kind of on the side of saying that their match at Wrestle Kingdom was slightly better. And maybe it's just because of the fact that Kenny Omega in New Japan is like, I guess, Michael Jordan on the Bulls or something. He's just putting up, he's in God mode over there in Japan. But definitely, this is definitely one of Kenny's best matches. The freaking kick out, like the One Wing Angel at 1. The Stormbreaker into the rope break. The only problem I had with this match was, again, Don Callis. Like, man, dude, like him getting involved. And it was like Ospreay didn't need Callis to beat Omega. And just like the whole Callis and Omega feud, just really looking at it, it just wasn't all that, to be honest with you. Like, on paper, at first, it seemed like it was going to be something interesting, but it just wasn't all that if you look at it. But this match, on the other hand, was just nuts. And the people were going crazy. People watching it at home were going crazy. And, that's why it's at number 2. This match was just extremely well done. And Will Ospreay definitely one of the best, if not probably the overall around best wrestler of this year. I know a lot of people say that. All right, so coming in at number 1, what is going to make my number 1 number one of the 10 best AEW matches of 2023. That will be MJF versus Bryan Danielson at AEW Revolution 60-minute Iron Man matches. One of the best 60-minute Iron Man matches. And, it's insane because even heading into it, I was like, how are they going to do this? 60-minute Iron Man matches are really hard to do. But there have been a few times where we've seen it in wrestling where it has been done and they did it extremely well. Kurt Angle, Brock Lesnar, 60-minute Iron Man match on SmackDown, one of the best. John Cena versus Randy Orton, Bragging Rights 09, I think. They had an 60-minute Iron Man match. Fantastic. And now you got MJF and Danielson. And I'll even put to the somewhat of extent Shawn Michaels and Bret. It was, some would say it was slightly overrated, but it's Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart, man. One of the best to ever do it. But this match, man, like the fact they went it for 60 minutes, and I was like, I don't know how they're going to keep me engaged for 60 minutes, but they did. And again, it just goes to show you how MJF, how talented, he can be. But even it goes to show you once again how freaking amazing Danielson is, one of the best wrestlers of this modern era. I was looking at it after the match. I was like, man, I just don't think no one's going to be able to top it. And you see it here. It's my number one list, and I think it's rightfully so. You know what I mean? But with that being said, that has been the video. Those have been the 10 best matches. And yeah, man, AEW had a lot of matches, man. Great, good, solid, obviously terrible, but overall, man, AEW just the end when it comes to that in-ring stuff, like they don't be playing around, really. But with that being said, I hope y'all enjoyed the video. I'm recording this on a different day, but y'all are getting this video on Christmas Eve, so happy, Christmas to everybody out there. But I know that tomorrow, Christmas Day, is going to be the top 10, the 10 best WWE matches of 2023 dropping. So, set for premiere already. So you guys will check that out. Hopefully y'all enjoyed the video, and yeah.